which the biggest story that's making the national news over the weekend is Donald Trump's visit to the state of Nevada. So we've learned a couple things. We've learned that Donald Trump visited this place called Extreme Manufacturing, but we found out that it's owned by the same local businessman, Don Ahern. He's also the chairman and CEO of the Ahern Rentals and owns the Ahern Hotel. Do you remember that? Formerly the Lucky Dragon, the hotel was fined more than $10,000 last month by the Nevada Occupational Safety and Health Administration officials for hosting the Evangelicals for Trump event. So a Twitter user named Doug Landry, who appears to be a Joe Biden supporter, said he's confirmed the reporting that Trump campaign advisor Kimberly Guilfoyle took the stage in Henderson, and then the second speaker featured President Donald Trump. You can see that maskless individuals were suddenly wearing facial coverings behind the stage when Donald Trump started to speak. This has caused a big storm involving Governor Sisolak and Donald Trump and social distancing. Now, listen, if it was any other circumstance and we weren't in a global pandemic, Donald Trump could come here every week and I wouldn't care. Presidential candidates and the president of the United States, they have a right to campaign and they have a right to do what they want to do. I would have absolutely no problem with it. He can jam-pack 50,000 people in an elevator for all I care. But this is a different circumstance we're talking about. And just as I've gone after the Black Lives Matter protesters and anybody else in this country that is not practicing social distancing, I'm going to go after every single one of those people that was outside of Reno and every single one of those people that was in Henderson, because you're putting all of our lives at risk. Ask Herman Cain how that turned out for him. The bottom line is this. Those people that were jam-packed in Henderson over the weekend and in the rally just outside of Reno, there is no question that there are people that are going to contract the virus from those gatherings, and there are people that are going to die. And just as I've gone after Black Lives Matter protesters, I'll go after every single one of those stupid people that were at these rallies, that were not practicing social distancing. You are a danger to all of us. You are going to spread the virus, and it's not just about you. It's about everybody else. And the fact that the president of the United States, that is supposed to be showing leadership, that is the leader of the free world, is allowing this to happen is despicable. Now, I've gone after Steve Sisolak. I've had my issues with Steve Sisolak over the last few months. I think he's made a lot of mistakes, a lot of inconsistencies, and I've gone after him. But I got to take the governor's side on this one. He was pissed off over the weekend, and he showed it on Twitter. So I want to read a couple of the tweets that he put out there, and then we'll talk about it. So this is Governor Steve Sisolak on Twitter after learning of what was taking place in Henderson, which I think was despicable, people not practicing social distancing, people together, most of them not wearing masks. This is Governor Sisolak. He said, as governor, I've worked with public health and infectious disease specialists to create emergency directives to protect public health and get our economy back on track. Tonight, President Donald Trump is taking reckless and selfish actions that are putting countless lives in danger here in Nevada. Instead, he came into our state and blatantly disregarded the emergency directives and tough choices made to fight this pandemic and begin reopening our economy by hosting an indoor gathering that's categorized as the high risk according to his own CDC. This is an insult to every Nevadan who's followed the directives, made sacrifices, and put their neighbors before themselves. It's also a direct threat to all the recent progress we've made and could potentially set us back. He went on. He said, I want to thank the local governments like the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority and the city of Henderson. We've done all they could to ensure business and visitors follow the state COVID-19 directives. At a time when Nevada is focused on getting our economy back on track and protecting public health, and President's actions this weekend are shameful, dangerous, and irresponsible. That means limiting gathering sizes, mandating face coverings, and practicing social distancing, all of which the president recklessly disregarded for his own gain this weekend in Nevada. Now, the statement goes on from his people. I'm not going to read that because I think you get the gist of it. I agree with the governor. And again, how I've been very critical of the governor with the way he's handled this pandemic, particularly over the course of the last couple months. He's absolutely right. I don't think there's any excuse for it. CNN medical analyst, and this is, by the way, former doctor to Dick Cheney, Dr. Jonathan Reiner. He appeared on CNN, and I want to play this audio for you. He called Trump's rally negligent homicide. Have a listen to this.
Well, that's what you call the actions of somebody who, through their negligence, causes the death of other people. We're in a pandemic, and Clark County, Nevada has a lot of virus. So with thousands of people, there's complete certainty that there are people in that crowd, probably asymptomatic carriers of the virus, who will spread the virus. So what is the purpose of this mass gathering? It's not in the interest of the public health. And I would respectfully suggest to the president that if he thinks it's safe to gather thousands of people in a pandemic without masks, then he should go down to the rope line and vigorously shake some hands at the end of the event. If he thinks there's very little risk to his attendees, then he should have no problem shaking some hands at the end of the event.
He makes a very valid point there. Why do you have people signing waivers if there's no issue here? Why are you not shaking hands at the end of the event and being up close and personal with people? That didn't happen. Most of the people that were at this rally were not practicing social distancing. And I want to be very clear on this. And I'm going to say it again so people don't make excuses. This has nothing to do with my hatred for Donald Trump. This has nothing to do with the fact that he's a Republican. If it was Joe Biden, I would be saying the exact same thing as I've criticized the Black Lives Matter protesters, many of whom have not practiced social distancing. This was also even worse because it was an indoor event in Henderson. And that, by the way, is the former doctor to Dick Cheney, who agrees with me, and many do across the country, including a lot of Republicans. You people that were out there in Henderson, a lot of those people, my understanding, at least some of them, did not even live in the state of Nevada. It is reckless. It is dangerous what the president is doing. And it was a campaign rally. That's exactly what it was. I have no problem with campaign rallies. Do what you want, so long as we're not in a global pandemic. Listen, if they were practicing social distancing and they were all wearing masks, I'd feel a lot better about it. I still don't think it's smart to have 5,000 people in an area. It's why we're not having fans at NBA games or NHL games or NFL games.
Well, there's fans in NFL games, Brian.
But the few stadiums that are having fans in NFL games are practicing social distancing. They are spread apart if you look at the images. That was not happening in Henderson. It didn't happen just outside of Reno. And it's wrong. And we should all call it out. Just as people on the right want to call out the Black Lives Matter protests, and I have no problem with that for not practicing social distancing, but they're not even calling them out. They just use that as an excuse. Well, if it's okay to have protests, then it should be okay to have a campaign rally. No, they're both wrong. They're both wrong during a global pandemic. The difference is you have a bunch of protesters. You have the president of the United States that sets an example. That's the difference. And it's wrong. And people's lives are at stake here. I don't want more people to contract the virus. And if you're one of those people that wants the economy to reopen and wants everything to be back to normal, then this is the wrong way to go about it. Because I believe this is going to set us back. I believe more people are going to contract the virus. I believe people are going to die because of going to that rally. It might not even be people that were at the rally. It could be, but it could be people that contract the virus, that are asymptomatic, that give it to their family members, God forbid. I don't want anybody to die. I don't want anybody to get the virus. But let me be very clear. If you were dumb enough to go to this rally and not wear a mask, you are an idiot. But you're worse than an idiot because an idiot usually doesn't affect me. But now you can affect me, and that's where I have a problem. I don't have a problem with stupid people. I have a problem with stupid people that could affect my health, that could affect me, my friends, my family. And all it takes is a few people at that rally to have the virus and give it to others, and then those people out there without masks giving it to other people.
Brian, what
it's
if
disgusting.
I told you that I actually went to the rally last night and I did not wear a mask?
Then I would call you an idiot.
You would call me an idiot?
Yeah, I would call it right to your face. I'd say you're an idiot.
Would you want me to leave right now because you're afraid that I will infect you with this virus?
I'd call you an idiot. Were you at the rally last night?
Actually, I wasn't. No,
okay.
I was approved. I was approved as a media member, and because it was indoors, I chose not to go to the event. Also, I said on the record multiple times that if there was ever a Trump rally indoors, I would not go, like the one that happened in Oklahoma City.
So do you not think there's anything
Tulsa.
wrong? Tulsa. Do you not think there's anything wrong with people?
Well, I mean, they were passing out masks.
But it wasn't mandatory, and most of the people weren't wearing them. So
again,
what good does it do?
It's their choice, Brian.
It's not just about your choice.
It is your choice.
It's not.
This is America.
Not
Brian.
true. Not
no,
true.
This is America.
Not true. So there's a mandate.
This isn't America.
No, I'm responding to you. There was a mandate that the governor put out that you know this, that you can't be more than 50 people. Now, if
Brian, this was a peaceful protest.
They broke the state rules.
And the mandate and the directive does not apply to a peaceful protest.
Okay,
if it did, it would have applied to Black Lives Matter peaceful protests.
Okay, first of all, it's not just about your choice. Okay, you're affecting other people. And by the way, it was a campaign rally. It wasn't a protest.
No, it was a peaceful protest.
Okay, it was a campaign rally. It wasn't a protest. You had people in there listening to some speeches.
It was called a peaceful protest.
It was a campaign rally by the President of the United States.
It was announced as a peaceful protest.
Who said that? Who?
The Trump campaign.
The Trump campaign?
Kayleigh McEnany.
Okay, so when you have the president speaking and when you have speakers up there.
Richard Grinnell as well, who did an outstanding job, by the way.
So when you have the president speak and when you have a couple other speakers, we call that a protest? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's a campaign rally. And I don't even know why you can't even admit that. We're playing games here. That's what's going on.
We're not playing games. It was literally announced as a peaceful protest.
JD, it was a campaign rally. Okay.
In your opinion.
There's no debate. When the president,
in your opinion, it was a campaign rally.
Okay, it was a protest. This is an idiotic conversation.
It was defined and announced and described as a peaceful protest, which is why it was able to happen.
I'd love to see that quote because I'm sure everything
by the way, how red is Nevada going to be in November based on what's been happening?
I don't know what that has to do with what we're talking about.
We had 1,000 boats
what does it have
at this boat parade that you thought was going to fail and a lot of callers thought was going to fail, and it definitely did the opposite of fail. There was at least 10,000 people in Minden, another probably 5,000 to 10,000 people at this rally.
Okay, what does it have to do with what we were just talking about?
At this peaceful protest.
We could talk about your boat rip, but what does it have to do with what we were just talking about?
There's a lot of support for Donald Trump right now. He has been basically proven to be impervious to this massive media onslaught to disparage him.
So we're not talking about the media right now. We're not talking about a boat rally. We're not talking about how many people support Donald Trump. None of those things are what we brought up in the first 15 minutes of the show. We're specifically talking about what took place in Henderson. And it's very simple. There are certain state guidelines that people did not follow. There were people packed indoors, not wearing masks, 99% of them not wearing masks. And I don't care whether they're handing out masks or not. It should have been mandatory. You are putting people's lives at risk. That is a problem. And then the same people a month from now, if the numbers go up, are going to, why aren't we opening up the economy? Well, maybe if you weren't a dumbass and you didn't show up to a Trump rally, because that's what it was. It wasn't a protest. It was a Trump rally. If you showed up there not wearing a mask, not practicing social distancing, spreading the virus, I don't want to hear you complain when Governor Sissos has to shut things down again. Because it's idiotic and it's irresponsible. This has nothing to do with politics.
We're not getting shut down.
It shouldn't have to do with politics.
Nevada has the 27th most cases in the country.
Okay.
73,000.
We just had a rally.
Deaths.
I understand.
94% of those who die of this virus have 2.6 or more comorbidities.
Okay, what does that have to do with what we're talking about?
2.6 or more underlying health. You made this statement last time when we had this conversation.
What does that have to do with
50% of people in the United States have one underlying health condition?
Okay, so it
takes 3 of those to die from this virus in 94% of the cases, apparently.
So we're
according to the CDC.
I'm not sure what that again, I don't know what that has to do with what we're talking about. You've talked about the support of Donald Trump. You've talked about a boat rally. Now you're talking about the 6% and the CDC. Again, that has literally nothing to do with what we're talking about. We are specifically talking about a rally with a bunch of idiots that decided not to practice social distancing and not wear a mask. I guarantee you all the president of the United States had to do, at the very least, was say masks were mandatory. Everyone in there would have worn a mask if the president said the masks were mandatory and you couldn't get in there. But he didn't do that. You know what else he didn't do? He didn't shake hands afterwards. He didn't get all snuggy with people either. There's a reason for that. Because he knows. He knows what's going on here, just like he knew on February 7th.
He's also very busy. He also has an extremely busy schedule. Of course, that's
interesting because before the pandemic, he was shaking everybody's hands.
He's the busiest person in the world. That being said,
you think that's why he didn't shake hands?
You've heard of Sturgis in South Dakota.
Let's go with the shaking hands. You think he didn't shake people's hands after his speech because he's busy? You think that, for the record?
I think he's a very, very busy person, and he doesn't have a lot of time on his hands just go around and shake people's hands.
You think he didn't, after the rally, shake hands, not because of the virus, but because he's busy?
No, I said he's also very, very busy.
And I'm asking
sure he
you.
is and I know for a fact that he had dinner last night with some pretty prominent Las Vegans as well.
I don't know what that has to do with shaking hands. I'm just asking you a specific question. You're telling me The reason why he didn't shake hands.
You think Donald Trump, if he stopped for a photo op with 100 or 200 different Trump supporters,
so let me explain to you
that wouldn't take up an hour of his time?
So
I'm saying his schedule is extremely packed.
You're 100% wrong, and I've covered Barack Obama, and I've covered some of Trump rallies when he was running for president, and you're 100% wrong.
When he wasn't president.
I was at the Westgate.
He is president right now.
So Barack Obama was president too. I covered many of his rallies, and he'd shake about 60 or 70 hands before leaving, which takes less than 5 minutes, by the way. I've watched it with my own eyes. In regards to President Trump, I was at one of his rallies when he was running for president at the convention center at the Westgate. There were at least 5,000 people in there. And after he did his speech, it is customary for whether you're a president or whether you're running for president, you're not going to shake everybody's hand, but those people that are in front, you take a couple quick pictures, you shake some hands. Trump didn't do that. There's a reason for that. And it wasn't because he was quote unquote busy. It was because he was told not to do it, and he knows how serious this virus is. But yet he allowed people to cram in there. He allowed people, to do all that stuff. And by the way, Trump used to always shake people's hands, used to always take pictures with people. Didn't do it in Henderson, didn't do it in Tulsa. Geez, I wonder why. He knows how serious this virus is, and I'll say it one more time.
So you think that this event is going to be some type of super spreader, kind of like they said Sturgis was?
Well,
by the way, in Sturgis, I think cases went up about 30% 2 days after, and they've dropped since. It was the exact opposite of a super spreader event, actually, because it took place on August 25th.
Okay, that certainly was the case in the Tulsa rally. We know the numbers went up a few weeks after that rally. And briefly to answer your question,
went up in Oklahoma?
Yes, in Tulsa they did. Specifically, it's very simple. And I'll say it one more time, and then we're going to take some phone calls on the other side of the break. And that is this. I call out anybody, including Black Lives Matter protesters, anybody that is not practicing social distancing, that is putting our lives at risk, anybody. The reason why I hold more frustration in Donald Trump is not because I don't like him. The reason why I hold more frustration towards the president of the United States is very simple. Because he's the president, he sets the foundation. He's supposed to be showing leadership. I'm tired of these protests around the country and these protesters not social distancing. It's wrong, and I've called them out. This isn't about politics. This is about the health and safety of people. I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care whether you're a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter. I don't care. I want this goddamn virus to be over with. I want it to be over with. I want this virus to be done with. I want everything to be back to normal. It's not going to be back to normal if we have these campaign rallies. And I would criticize the left just as much as the right if it was happening. But Joe Biden's not doing that. And if he does do it, I will be the first one on the radio to criticize him for it. It's wrong, and it shouldn't happen. And it puts our lives at risk, and I don't want that to happen. And he's the president of the United States. He knows better. He knows what's going on. He knew what was going on early in February. We're learning maybe even January. So here's what we're going to do.
I will say this, Brian. I would have preferred, and I would have attended the event if it was outdoors. The fact that it was indoors, it was enough for me not to attend.
Okay, it doesn't make...
Because I strongly dislike wearing masks for hours on end.
Well, you know what I dislike?
I strongly dislike it. And I would have not attended an indoor event or an indoor peaceful protest, whatever you want to call it, without a mask on.
I'll tell you...
I'm saying it as a
I'll tell you what I don't like.
Very strong Trump supporter who has been looking forward to watching him speak.
I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like thousands of people packed into a room during a global pandemic in my backyard.
It wasn't that packed, Brian.
Okay, if I could finish. I don't like thousands of people within a foot of one another because that's the way they lined up the chairs. So I am factually accurate. I watched it. I saw it. Seen the images of it. People were not practicing social distancing. They were not wearing masks. I have a huge problem when it happens anywhere, especially in my backyard. And I have openly criticized Governor Sisolak for the way he's handled this virus, but he is 100% right when it comes to this. If you want to call him a hypocrite and all that stuff, fine. Doesn't mean he's wrong here. He's right. What the president did was wrong. They came into our city. They packed people into a room, not practicing social distancing, not wearing masks. But hey,